Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and for joining us on yet another edition of AFRAA SkyConnect. In this edition, ladies and gentlemen, you would recall we should have held this last month, but we'd had to push it forward to today because our guests were not available, but the topic is such an important one that we did not want to skip. We're going to discuss today about developments of air transport within the ECOWAS sub-region. ECOWAS has realized that the issue of taxes, charges, and fees is impacting connectivity and airline success within the sub-region. As a result, they took certain measures to ensure that air transport becomes affordable and competitive in the sub-region. So to help us in our discussion today, we have the Director of Transport at the ECOWAS Commission, Mr. Chris Appiah. He will be sharing some perspectives with us. We also have an operator, the biggest operator in West Africa, led by the Chief Executive, Mr. Isaias Halu, who would actually be sharing perspectives from the operator's point on what the developments within the ECOWAS sub-region. So, ladies and gentlemen, as in previous sessions, note that towards the end, you would have the opportunity, time permitting, to ask some questions. But just put your questions through the Q&A tab, and I would ask the guests to respond to you as the discussions unfold. So to my guests, Mr. Halu and Mr. Appiah, you're most welcome to AFRAA SkyConnect, and I wish us will have a very interesting conversation today. But before we get started, just in about a minute or so, if you can just tell our guests briefly about yourselves and what you do in your respective roles, it will help put our guests in context and put our discussion in proper perspective. So starting with Mr. Isaias. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Raphael. Isaias is my name. I'm the CEO of ASKY. And ASKY is covering 30 destinations in the continent of Africa. Our network is extending from Praia Capo Verde to Nairobi and down to Johannesburg and everywhere in between, about 30 destinations. We are right now operating 16 aircraft, and we are waiting for the 17th aircraft to come next week. So we have 1.5 million passengers per year. And our network is growing, and also our destinations are deepening with frequencies and everything. So we are connecting the continent. In the near future, we are planning to go intercontinental and wide body as well.
Thank you very much for that brief summary. So very fast-growing airline, 16 aircraft and counting, and a net traffic of 1.5 million per year. And growing exponentially. So we look forward to how this decision of ECOWAS will impact your operations. So Chris, can you tell us briefly about yourself also? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raphael, and good morning, everyone. Good morning to my dear friend Isaias. Always a pleasure to engage in the same objective of making our region well interconnected to support the regional integration agenda. So my name is Chris Appiah. I'm the Director of Transport at the ECOWAS Commission. My portfolio covers all the four modes of transport: air transport, maritime, road transport, as well as railways. And we intend to put these networks and services in a way to serve as the catalyst based on which the regional integration agenda of ECOWAS will be achieved. By way of a small background, ECOWAS covers the countries of West Africa, currently made up of 12 countries, but then we are very well knitted and connected with the three other countries who have formed the AES, that is Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. So, I mean, our airspace covers the whole of West Africa, as well as even extending to parts of Central Africa, Cameroon, Chad, as well as Mauritania, bordering Senegal. Last year and this year, ECOWAS has been celebrating 50 years of regional integration since it was set up. We've achieved a lot in terms of the free movement of persons, goods, and services amongst our member states. ECOWAS is one of the first regions in Africa where we have a completely visa-free movement for our citizens amongst all member states. And we also have a very vibrant trade liberalization scheme where all products produced in the region are shipped customs duty free. So we are moving towards a customs union. And that is why air transport as well as the transport modes are to support. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Halu and Mr. Pierre, for your time. Let me start with Mr. Halu. You know, they said air transport in West Africa is the most expensive of all the regions on the continent. I'm not too sure. Can give us some perspective on how expensive travel within West Africa is that warrants ECOWAS to take this decision? Mr. Isaias?
Talking less of West Africa, Africa in general is more expensive than the rest of the planet. Sorry. That's number one. But within the inter-Africa variation, East and South Africa is a little bit more competitive in terms of prices, but West and Central Africa are very expensive, mostly West Africa. So this is because, number one, the taxes and charges and fees are very high. That's number one. Number two, the aviation infrastructures for landing, parking, all kinds of airport charges are also very high, security and others. In addition to that, fuel is more expensive. Africa is exporting crude and importing refined jet A1 fuel. So fuel is also more expensive than the rest of the planet. And within Africa, we are selling local currencies, be it CFA or Naira or Sede, Kwacha, Kwanza, Birr, and all other things. But aviation is highly forex denominated. To buy an aircraft, to lease an aircraft, to buy and lease an engine, or to bring parts, to pay maintenance, training, all this requires forex. So access to forex has a lot of more cost for us because we sell in soft currency, but we have to spend in hard currency. All this put together makes aviation very expensive within the continent of Africa. That's why ECOWAS intervened to do, for some kind of, charges and fees reduction. By the way, I have high regard and respect for ECOWAS because comparing it with Southern, Eastern, and Central Africa, ECOWAS is much better integrated for so many reasons. The visa regime and the CFA franc has given them also a common medium and also French language. So this is a region which is much better integrated than the rest of the continent. And also ECOWAS is actively working on this. And also they are engaging with the travel and aviation industry. So I highly commend them for that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for that background to the high cost on the continent and in particular in West Africa. Now, Chris, you are the regional body representing 12 countries as of today, even though the entire region covers 15. Now, what informs you specifically to intervene in taking off the taxes and reducing the charges by 25% for air transport?
Right. Thank you very much. So first, we recognize that air transport, and for that matter, all the other modes of transport are only a catalyst to the integration that we desire to achieve, right? So if we want to move from the very good words that my big brother Isaias has mentioned about the region being the most integrated, if we want to move to another level, we must address the challenges that the supposed catalyst, right, is facing, so as to speed the integration process. So that is the first reason why we focused on making air transport more affordable, accessible, to be able to play the role that we envisage it to play in regional integration, right? So it's not just moving, making it affordable in terms of the cost of transport, but then it also plays a key role in regional integration. So that's the first and maybe the highest level objective of addressing this. Secondly, I think it has been said, and it's general knowledge from all the assessment reports, that the performance of the region's air transport requires further work to make it more accessible and becomes the mode of choice for movement and trade, right? So we partnered with several partners, in fact, IATA, yourselves, AFRAA, and AFCAC, to undertake several performance and assessment of our air transport market. And Isaias has mentioned some of the key areas where we found to be contributing most to the cost of air transport. And of these, if we narrow down on the issue of taxes, fees, and charges, we realize that an average ticket from one point to another point in the region could have taxes forming close to 60 to 65% of the ticket cost, right? So while we acknowledge that these taxes are usually meant to enhance infrastructure facilities at the airports and the related facilities, we realized that we had gone to a stage where the sector has been overtaxed. It's overburdened with taxes and charges. And for that matter, the demand and traffic was very suppressed. So if you look at the figures compared to other regions, our airports and airlines were not competitive enough, to feature on either the top 10 in terms of passenger travels or in terms of carrying capacity of the airlines. So all these culminated to a regional decision by the heads of states themselves. So let me clarify. When we say ECOWAS made a decision, it wasn't the commission sitting in Abuja that says, guys, we have to reduce the cost. At the summit of the heads of states, they themselves recognized the fact that the region's mobility was impaired and hindered because of the cost of travels. And they gave a directive to their ministers of transport, foreign affairs, and finance to find a solution in collaboration with the commission. And that is where the work started. And then we looked at the area of taxes, and looked at which ones were contributing most to this cost. And that is why those 2 taxes and 4 charges were targeted to either be removed or reduced by 25%. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that background. So as we speak now, this decision was supposed to be effective 1st January 2026.
Nice. Now,
where are we on this briefly? Have the states complied?
Good. So as I said, as of 1st January this year, all states were supposed to begin implementation. Now, just to clarify, it wasn't going to be practical for all member states to completely remove the taxes and reduce charges on 1st January 2026. the process of removing taxes goes through a system. It goes through a process. So last week we met all the countries in Lome, and the DGs of civil aviation were all present. And from the report we got from the countries, I'm glad to say all the 12 member states have started the process of complying with the directive. Secondly, to also point out that there's even one country, Cote d'Ivoire, that has completely removed these taxes in accordance with the decision. Also, we have, as of the past 3 days, received an official communication from the government of Sierra Leone that they have removed the $50 airport security charge that was charged to all passengers arriving and departing from the port of Freetown. So they have also acted on this. And all other countries have started the national level actions to make sure it happens. Let me end with these 3 key things. One is that the removal of taxes, as we heard from the progress reports, involves the revision of national tax laws, right? And this takes a process. So what we got from all the countries is this has begun. Secondly, it involves multi-sectoral consultations, finance, transport, economic affairs, and all these. So we got the report that almost all countries have started discussions and consultations to effect this. The third point is there are existing airport concessions, right, which are contractual based, for which some charges and taxes are to be levied on the traveling public to repay for investment made in these airports. So it is going to take a process for a renegotiation of these existing contracts to be able to find alternative solutions to pay off these costs incurred in the construction of the airports. So these are ongoing, and we are very to report on that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. So some progress is being made, and we hope sooner or later we would have West Africa being very competitive. Mr. Halu, you know, you are an operator. From the operator's perspective, do you see the glass as half full or half empty? And what does that portend for ASKY Airlines in terms of the future?
As ASKY is a 16-year-old company since 2010 with 30 destinations and increasing, and we have a lot of fifth freedom traffics as well. We both facilitate the integration of the continent, as well as we benefit also from the integration. We also stimulate it as well. As you see, the continent is so big. It is the second biggest continent on the planet Earth. So surface transport is not plausible, especially as a quick means of transport. Instead of building 30,000 kilometer railways from Cairo to Cape Town or whatever, only 3-kilometer runway can connect the entire continent. So the way we see, we just got started, the pace needs to go. When it comes to visas within the ECOWAS, Togo and Ghana are making visa-free. When it comes to charges and taxes, Cote d'Ivoire is moving. So I hope that the ECOWAS has enough structure and institution to do that. They have oversight committee. They give support to each country, and they will also go to enforcement. They have ECOWAS court, even to go to political sanction, because we in Africa are very much good in invoking beautiful slogans, but we are slow in implementing them. Yamoussoukro has been 30 years old. Now we have continental free trade, single African air transport market, all this, but now we need to go very serious on the implementation side of it. So, if Africa were a country, it would have been the largest country on the planet. It has a big landmass. It has 1.5 billion young demography. We need to democratize flying by making it less expensive so that the intra-Africa tourism, trade, labor, goods, and services can freely move. This will help both the continental free trade and also the single African air transport market if it is implemented quicker than later. This will build economies of scale. Available seat kilometer will increase. This will help the airlines to reduce the unit cost. So it will further reduce it. It's not only reduction of charges, fees, and taxes, but also building the economy of scale. So with this, the way we go now, ECOWAS is going in a full force. The other regions in the continent, we hope that they will follow suit. Countries have started following on the charges side, Cote d'Ivoire, on the visa side, Togo and Ghana. So we have to keep pushing. Both the industry practitioners as well as the ECOWAS from the political oversight. So we are hopeful. For us, it is half full, and we'll have to go on that. And it is all of us who need to contribute to that. There is no someone who is, watching from outside and giving only critics. So we are together in it. We have to push for that.
So yeah, I guess as a follow-up to that, there's this concern by some travelers that ECOWAS might succeed in actually getting the taxes off, but the benefit will not be passed on to the consumer. As an operator, what do you say to that?
Yeah, charges, taxes, and fees are one component which is making ticket expensive. But there is also an elephant in the room which needs to be addressed. As I told you earlier, fuel is 30 to 40% more expensive in Africa than anywhere else. And also, Africa is by and large operating older aircraft, 700 to 800 aircrafts. Most of them are old. They have high cost of maintenance. And as I told you, access to Forex is also increasing the price. And the market is fragmented. Only 19% of Africa, intra-Africa are directly connected. The rest are not. So SAATM needs to come here to build the economies of scale, to reduce the unit cost. So fuel is there. The cost of infrastructure, navigation, landing, parking, ground handling, catering, all these are very expensive compared with other regions. So all this needs to be reduced. And to implement SAATM sooner than later also, airlines within the ECOWAS, the countries within the ECOWAS region and at large within Africa need to be highly cooperative, because there are 54 or 55 countries on the continent of Africa, depending on who you ask. Each and every country, they want their own national carrier. But this may not be practical. It will add to the fragmentation. So we need to be moving into cooperations, alliances, even to mergers and JVs. That will make it more manageable, because one country has resources and capabilities for tourism. The other country may not have tourism sites and resources, but they may have best functioning, successful airline. So the two need to merge. One will bring a lot of tourists to country A, and country A will allow the airline from country B to have the certain type of liberalization. So both can benefit. So it's not by airline revenue that the countries of Africa can prosper, but they can exchange. One has tourism, one has resources, one has export, one has the passenger traffic to benefit from that, one has the airline which is functioning. So we need to team up and exchange and barter our resources and capabilities so that we can work together. It's not only charges and taxes, but fuel, all other infrastructure charges, and the traffic right restrictions. All these add to the high unit cost and to lower economies of scale. So we need to work on all of that as well.
Great. So thank you for that elaboration on those additional burdens that make travel very expensive on the African continent. Now, Chris, if I may come back to you, you've come up, you are pursuing this laudable idea of ensuring that Africa is very well connected. Trade and tourism are also facilitated. Now, earlier on, Mr. Halu alluded to West Africa being a much more integrated region. But I always say that as far as air transport is concerned, it is not just only about West Africa, it's about Africa and it's about the world. So whilst we facilitate movement amongst ourselves as West Africans, we do have a challenge with some other citizens from other regions trying to access West Africa, some of the countries, except in recent times, Togo and Ghana, who have cleared for all Africans to get visas on arrival. Is there any work being done by ECOWAS in facilitating this, as well as also facilitating the harmonization of customs duties?
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Just to clarify, several other countries in West Africa have pursued different forms of opening up in terms of access to their countries by fellow Africans. We can mention Benin. In fact, Benin was the first country on the whole continent to give visa-free access to all Africans, even before the others came in. So we have several others. Yes. So at the country level, there's been several pronouncements, and really access is very enhanced now. Let's put it like that. Now, at the regional level, ECOWAS, in advancing the free movement protocol implementation, has now introduced the ECOWAS National Biometric ID card system. So we are even moving from the strict passport regime to the Schengen-like ID card movement among community citizens. Also, another important strategy being rolled out is the single ECOWAS level visa, right? I know our colleagues in the Free Movement Directorate of ECOWAS have advanced arrangements to agree among all countries to allow a single visa system for all third country applicants, such that if you secure this visa, you can move freely in the region as you would do in other regions of the world, right? So that you don't need to get 12 visas or 12 permits to visit the 12 countries. So that's also very, very much advanced, and in the near future we should be seeing this. Now, this also is complemented by the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, which also allows which is also a free trade regime that we have been implementing for years without before even the Africa Continental Free Trade Area came in. So ECOWAS is very well prepared to take advantage and contribute to the AFCFTA protocol that is ongoing. On the harmonization of customs aspect, we are moving towards a customs union. We've cleared the first stage of a customs union, that is a common external tariff regime, which started way back in 2014. And the customs administrations are working together with the Commission to put in place the needed interconnected systems to allow for this single space in terms of imports, customs duties, and all that. So that is also ongoing. And maybe to quickly add that we are very mindful of all these developments, and that is why we're trying to practicalize the attainment of the SAATM, for instance. we're moving beyond the forums and the meetings and the declarations to tangible actions to make sure that we establish a single regional air transport market, right? So this issue of tax and charges review is just the beginning. When you have an elephant of an effort, you have to start from somewhere, right? So we have to acknowledge that, and this also contributes to the half full, half empty discussion. We need to start from somewhere. So first we've said, let's remove the taxes, reduce the charges. That is one. Secondly, we are moving towards having a harmonized framework for charges and taxes in our region's air transport market. So they will get to a point where all countries in the region will be structuring their charges and taxes based on a single framework, right? With same definitions, with limits set, so that one country will not be charging solidarity tax, whilst others say, I'm charging for peace and security, freedom tax and all that. We need to harmonize this. That's what we are moving towards. Eventually, we are also looking at institutionalizing the regional oversight mechanism so that it will not be 12 civil aviation authorities managing 12 national airport, regulating 12 national air transport regimes. But all of them will key into a regional oversight system, which would then be coordinating all these mechanisms in terms of taxes, charges, fuel taxation. That is also covered in the regional decision. I have to mention that. MRO operations, repair, maintenance, and overhaul operations. That one we are looking at going as a region, because the fragmented approach is defeating the economies of scale that airlines like ASKY keep referring to. And all these, as well as securing grants to support member states in improving their airport infrastructure and all that. So even on the airline side, we are also discussing the possibility of having regional pools for leasing of aircraft, right? So that it's not one airline going to negotiate on an aircraft leasing approach with these big firms, makes their negotiation capacity very low. So we're looking at all these, but it must start from somewhere. Then we move step by step towards this single air transport market that we seek. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Mr. Halu, if I may come back to you again, with all this happening and knowing that West Africans they love to travel and they travel a lot. Now, this is likely to see many more West Africans being able to travel if all this expectation does come to fruition sooner than later. Now, do you think we have the required infrastructure to support a growing market in West Africa, or we need to do some investments alongside?
Well, infrastructure is a very important subject for the aviation industry on the continent. Many of the African airports, either they have dilapidated infrastructure or they are inadequate. Some of the airports, the landing strips are only fit for smaller aircraft, so they need to be, the runway lengths and the fire category and other things need to be upgraded. Even airport terminals for passenger processing, enough check-in gates and immigration counters and boarding gates. All this need to be done, because the moment frequencies are increasing, flights get delayed, baggage are left behind, passengers get misconnected. So infrastructure needs to be invested on. And that is something very important. But there is also a soft part of infrastructure which is required. For example, how the central banks and the banks within the region are integrated with each other. funds are blocked, most especially in Central Africa. Funds get blocked. So from one Central African country to expatriate, to repatriate your money, you have to go to the central bank of the country, and then next you go to the central bank of Central Africa, which is in Yaoundé. From Yaoundé, Cameroon, you have to go to the Central Bank of West Africa in Dakar, and then to the Central Bank of your own country. So 4 central banks get involved, a big layer of bureaucracy. So this type of soft infrastructure also needs to be facilitated in addition to the physical infrastructures. And also, this bilateral air service treaty, which is also one of the soft parts of the infrastructure. It needs to be replaced with SAATM. The EU is a very good example. Organization of African Unity, OAU, when it was established in Addis Ababa with the founding fathers, it was a very much a forward-looking, a modern kind of establishment, even before the European Union was conceived. So the African Union is a senior to European Union, but look at how European Union is so integrated. And also they have, the physical infrastructure and the regulatory infrastructure, everything they have in place. And when they are negotiating with Africa, EU comes as a bloc to negotiate with one country, and all EU countries' airlines can come with their jumbo jet into that country. Now, with SAATM, we also have to do that as a single bloc. We have to negotiate bloc to bloc. And of course, we have to work on physical infrastructures, but also the soft parts of the regulatory structures in terms of BASA, in terms of fund blocking, in terms of central banks and facilitation. All this needs to be refurbished so that aviation will really thrive in the continent of Africa. And it is very promising. Even now, IATA is predicting that the rate of growth is higher in Africa because we start from a low base. We have 20% of humanity on the planet, but we are contributing only 3% to the global aviation traffic. So we have a promising potential. We have to keep pushing. Both physical infrastructures and regulatory frameworks need to be pushed because aviation for Africa is not a luxury. As a latecomer advantage, it is a big economic stimulator. So if we want to grow, we need to invest in aviation, be it infrastructure, be it regulatory framework. This is what we have to go for. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Chris, he's put it nicely. We need to do both the hard and soft infrastructure, make sure they are in place and in tandem with the developments or the growth of the traffic. Now, from an ECOWAS perspective, I'm sure you are also concerned about safety in the midst of an open market. And for that matter, the Banjul Accord Group are very much up to their task with regards to regional safety oversight. Now, are there plans to actually expand the Banjul Accord Group to cover the entire West Africa, or is there a mechanism that tries to also harmonize safety and security issues within the sub-region?
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. In fact, that's another key area that we in ECOWAS are looking at. Yeah, as you rightly said, the Banjul Accord Group covers the non-UEMOA countries or the non-French speaking member states, whilst the French-speaking countries are also under the UEMOA mechanism for safety oversight. Now, the discussions have begun. We've actually prepared the concept and we intend to initiate the discussion on establishing a single regional air transport safety oversight mechanism. As to the actual structure it will take, it may not be expanding the coverage of the Bagasso group to cover everything, or expanding the non-Bagasso group to expand everything. We are still engaging in the discussion as to the best form of oversight mechanism to put in place in the area of aviation safety. We also participated actively in the continental study, which was done between the African Union, AFCAC, and EASA, where recommendations were given. Unfortunately, we didn't agree with the recommendations, which suggested that because of the language blocks in some of these regions, it's better we pursue the separate oversight mechanisms around these blocks. It doesn't support, and it doesn't fast track the attainment of the single airport transport market that we seek to achieve. So contrary to those recommendations, we in ECOWAS are still pursuing the single oversight mechanism to cover the entire region. And that is what we are working towards. So we are looking at that. Closely related to that is the issue of aviation security, if I can quickly add as well. As you know, ECOWAS has worked with the ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, to establish a harmonized regional aviation security pool under the coordination of ECOWAS. So this pool has been inaugurated. We've had a training section and onboarding with ICAO. So very soon we'll be deploying safety auditors, assessors to airports to support them prepare and better equip themselves to perform favorably in the ICAO global audits and assessments that we do. And in so doing, we also be achieving the issue of ensuring a safer and a more secured air transport market, which combines with the economic regulation aspects that we are also looking at. So yes, we are very active in aviation safety and security, but we are looking at regionalizing it, coordinating it as a region, and we hope to get there soon with our partners in AFCAC, IATA, and ICAO. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much. At this point, I think it's about time we get to our audience. Our audience are putting in some questions. I would not want us to end the session without taking some of them on. And so I want to go to the chat box, and then we review some of the questions that have been put in there for your response. So let me start off with this one by Mr. Tillman. He contends that it's a good step forward what ECOWAS is doing for the countries in the region. He assumes that what, Chris, you mentioned about the CAAs coming together is sort of similar to the EASA approach, and he would want to throw a bit more light on that. Is that?
Right. Yes. So as I said, it's difficult to achieve harmonization using a fragmented approach, right? So now we have 12, or at a bigger scale, 15 independent CAs, all regulating, yes, using global standards under ICAO and IATA and others. However, in order to move towards this coordinated regional approach, we need to coordinate this. So we've actually started the process, and that is the creation of the ECOWAS Air Transport Economic Oversight Regulatory Committee, where all the DGs of the CAs are members. And then one person from all aviation sector ministries are also members. And that was what was inaugurated in Lome just last week. and Cote d'Ivoire was selected to chair for the first year. So that's the first step. Now, the second step, we've also established a secretariat to coordinate the work of this committee, because these are very busy DGs and you need a very strong coordinating point to help them to function, right? So they are supposed to coordinate the implementation of the regional decision on harmonizing the taxes and charges, as well as looking at the issues of aviation fuel, maintenance, aircraft compliance, and all that, airline compliance and all that. So we started the process. Eventually, we're looking at, doing the assessment and the study to establish this regional oversight mechanism, which will be institutionalized. Then all the CAs, but it will not be replacing the CAs. Let me clarify that. Even in the Europe example, the national CAs are still very active, but they work in coordination and under the guidance of EASA and the other European Union structures. So that's what we're looking at. We're not replacing the CAs, but we would work with them to ensure a very well coordinated approach in terms of regional oversight for our airspace. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that response. And there's another question, and this goes to Mr. Halu. Let me just grab it quickly. Now, the question is that with what is happening and with what ASKY has indicated, the lack of infrastructure that might hinder the growth potential, are there plans to actually put in place some infrastructure to support the growth that is anticipated? Mr. Halu, do you see some semblance of that? Are there any plans of MRO? Is your airline thinking about an MRO or a training facility or anything of that sort? Are others also thinking same in the region? Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. African governments are coming to their senses now. Infrastructure is really needed. If you take the example of Togo, they have always been forthcoming. When ASKY outgrew the design capacity of the existing airport in Lomé, the government embarked in expansion project of the passenger terminal, as well as 6 additional aircraft parkings. 3 have already been delivered. And also baggage processing and the X-ray screening area. These are also part of the expansion project. So they are catching up. So ASKY on its own, it is investing in 737 MAX simulator. The building is under construction and the machine is already purchased. So it is a MAX simulator. It is going to serve for training of pilots for ASKY as well as the West and Central African region. Regarding the MRO, there is a plan for a joint venture between Ethiopian Airlines and ASKY to put a big MRO center, which is also serving West and Central Africa. So this is when it comes to Togo. But other places, I hear that within the wider continent, not only within ECOWAS, I see that Nairobi, Entebbe, even Addis Ababa is planning a 12 billion airport infrastructure, which is 100 million passengers per annum capacity. So Luanda has already delivered a new airport. South Africa, Johannesburg has expanded their facilities. So you see that infrastructures are coming up in the continent and people are working on that. Now, when it comes to the safety of it, there is a lot of need for ICAO support, also the WACAF and ISAF, the Global Aviation Safety Program, and the harmonization of recognition of licenses, interoperability standards within the the different regulators of the continent. Training is also a lot needed. Aviation experts, be it flight technicians, pilots, safety auditors, and all this. So training centers need to be as many as we want them. So we need to invest on that as well. So, but things are coming up. It's a work in progress, but slowly but surely we'll arrive there.
And Ralph,
Okay,
if I can
thank you
quickly
so
add,
much. Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
permit
please.
me to add
Yeah,
one point. Yes.
go ahead.
At the regional level, I mean, we talk about the economics of scale in this issue of aircraft maintenance and MROs. At the regional level, just to complement what ASKY has planned, at the ECOWAS level, we have already undertaken the feasibility study of establishing a regional MRO. And we scoped the number of airlines and the demand that we have as a region, which makes it very, very viable, right? So we've already completed the feasibility, we've done the financing and investment studies, and we are very open to discuss and engage potential investors who would want to key into this regionalized approach to establishing MROs. We know our colleagues in Nigeria also have several, smaller scale MROs, but we intend to galvanize all these into a regional approach where we can beat down cost of maintenance and all that and enhance our safety and security, safety of our aircraft. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for those responses to the question. Now, another question for you, Chris, and this is coming from Mark Pillay. Mark is asking whether ECOWAS Commission has actually calculated the dollar amount of how much the reduction in taxes and charges will bring to the sub-region, how much the reduction value would the reduction bring in dollar terms. Have you done any work on that briefly?
Yes, we did. We simulated with several levels of reduction of the charges. In fact, we looked at the 166 charges and taxes and fees in our region, charged by various countries, not one country charging that. We looked at their impact on the tickets, and we simulated the gains on the travel, the ticket cost. Should we reduce it by first 5%, 10%, 15, 20, before we arrived at the 25% reduction? And I must say, with the 25% reduction, and being mindful of all the other things said, that it's not only the taxes and charges, we were arriving at close to 40 to 45% reduction in the ticket cost. And we can do all the assessments we want, but if you take the cost of the ticket, right, there are some fixed cost aspect to it. And these are, first is the base fare of the airlines. We'll be going there later. But if you look at the taxes, so for instance, for a $540 ticket, return ticket from country A to B, I won't give the specifics, the taxes alone could cost almost $302. You get it? 540, 302
Wow.
is taxes. And these are
taxes.
fixed taxes that must be paid to either the CA, the government, or the airport company. So if no matter the discussion around the cost of aviation fuel, maintenance, duties on import of maintenance parts and all that, the issue of the taxes and fees, if addressed, will still lead to a great reduction in the tickets. Now, then we have to take it with the airlines to make sure that they reflect this. And I think Isaias has given some indications as to how this can be done. But first is to deal with the governments to make sure we remove this. Then, Ralph, if you can permit me quickly, there's been questions relating to now that the 1st January, I mean, it's also connected to this. 1st January deadline has passed. Is there a revised deadline? Let me also clarify that. The deadline for the application has not changed. It remains 1st January 2026. But as we have explained, the process of removing taxes is not an event. It doesn't happen one day. It's a process. So the process is ongoing. And with the oversight mechanism in place now, we're going to follow up with the countries to make sure that in the next quarter, in the 3rd quarter, in the 4th quarter, this will be achieved. So we are not moving targets. We are not moving deadlines. We are still keeping to the 1st January, and we are working with the countries to make sure that they implement what is needed to be done for the taxes to be removed and the charges to be reduced.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Isaias, there's another question for Shimelis for you, and it's asking whether ASKY has an internal predictive maintenance pooling strategy to ensure that you maintain your schedule integrity going forward, considering the shortage of the supply chain on the global scale.
Well, the maintenance structure of ASKY is completely outsourced with Ethiopian Airlines MRO for the line maintenance here. There's a big team from Addis, which does the dispatch of the flights with line maintenance, but there is maintenance and engineering department locally for ASKY, and we have trained 25 the flight technicians, and they have been injected into the operation. The program is there. Now, with the evolution of the big MRO center, which is a JV between ASKY and Ethiopian Airlines, which is $100 million initial investment. With that, it will be a full-blown 2 hangars, component shops, and customer aircraft parking areas, and all this. That will make it a complete standalone maintenance organization. But now what we have is a line maintenance. But for shop visits, for engine overhaul, and for C checks, we depend on Ethiopian Airlines. We have to shuttle the aircraft back to Ethiopia to be done. But A check is done right here with us. And because we also maintain some small parts, and for some other parts, we have just-in-time arrangement with Ethiopian Airlines. So whenever a maintenance, an AOG situation is created, aircraft, if they have AOG observed this afternoon, we communicate with Addis. Parts are shipped with a daily flight from Ethiopia via Lome to the US. So parts are arriving, aircrafts are fixed. Immediately next day, the aircraft is going. So with that, we are maintaining our dispatch reliability and short turnaround within Lome for the line maintenance issues. But heavy checks, we depend on Ethiopian Airlines until the MRO is fully built in here. So this is the situation right now.
Oh, great. Thank you for that clarification. Ladies and gentlemen, there are still a number of questions and comments and commendations and compliments to ECOWAS and ASKY for the great job you're doing in West Africa, but our time is also up. And as is customary of this program, I cannot let my guests go without asking them for their final message to my audience. We're almost at the end of the program, but we still have over 100 delegates who are listening to us. So what is your message, starting from ECOWAS, then we come to the airline? What is your final message to my audience who are listening to us now? Thank you. Chris?
Thank you very much, Ralph. Once again, many thanks for this opportunity. ECOWAS remains committed to ensure that our industry, air transport industry, is very affordable, accessible, safe, to support the regional integration agenda that we are driving. We've taken very actionable measures to make sure this happens. We are not duplicating efforts by other, partners in this regard. We are collaborating properly with all those involved, AFCAC, our own Africa Union, IATA, AFRAA, and ICAO to make sure that these align with international and global standards and strategies. We remain open for all well-meaning partners, to come behind the ECOWAS wheel. We achieve wider going together and faster than fragmented efforts here and there. So long as it's our region, we are ready to work on this. Now, our decision covers taxes, fees, charges, full aviation fuel. We are already discussing the issue of SAF. Our strategy is to do the feasibility of internally capacity to manufacture and market SAF, not to import. So that is our strategy, and we are working with the Africa Development Bank and some other multilateral partners to look at the feasibility of finding the production channels within our region, because we have the raw materials and everything, import the technology and produce here. So we are open in all these areas. We are also open to work with our airlines. We are very happy with ASKY supporting the regional integration agenda. In fact, the creation of ASKY had ECOWAS right around the table. It was actually a creation of ECOWAS, if I can put it like that. So we continue to support them, but we must also recognize that we have several other regional airlines that are under the plans of ECOWAS to help them, position them in such a way that together they build alliances and joint ventures to support the regional objective of making our air transport industry more vibrant and efficient, support the regional integration agenda. So thank you very much once again. We are grateful.
Thank you so much, Chris, for those closing remarks. And ladies and gentlemen, my sincere apologies to Yita Tech, to Victoria Moore, and to all those who have sent in messages that I would and questions that I could not take at this point due to time constraints. We do hope next time we would have more time to be able to engage you. But I think you do appreciate that the engagement with my guest was very exciting. So we take a final word from Mr. Halu Isaias, CEO of ASKY Airlines. Your final thought, please. Thank you.
Okay. I have two words to emphasize to all our audiences. So one is, I have two words to emphasize. One is Africa, and the other one is aviation. Okay? So our continent, Africa, requires desperately an economic development and progress, and aviation is a silver bullet solution for the continent's integration to move people, goods, and services. So it is one major priority, a silver bullet solution to facilitate aviation within the continent and to facilitate the whole of the economics. So my singular message to our audience is that all stakeholders, be it governments, intergovernmental organizations, regional organizations, suppliers, vendors, operators, regulators, customers, everybody should focus for the progress of Africa's aviation. We should all cooperate, and we should all put aviation as one of our top priorities so that it can help the economic integration of the continent. So aviation is not a luxury, it is very important. So let all of us parade towards that ideal, and let's make Africa a better place to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Halu Isaias, CEO of ASKY Airlines. Ladies and gentlemen, one more announcement from me before we move off. As I indicated at the beginning, this session is actually what we should have done last month, but because of its importance, we just roll it over to this month. The session that we intend for this month of July will take place next week on the 15th of July, same time from 11 to 12 noon GMT. So ladies and gentlemen, we will be sharing the link. The guest will be the CEO of Kenya Association of Air Operators, Engineer Ms. Liz Aduvanzi. And so we will be discussing about air transport developments in Kenya, and also look at the Kenya Finance Bill. The Kenya came up with a new finance bill, and this finance bill will also be discussed extensively. So for all operators, for all those who are interested in aviation development in East Africa, please, this is your opportunity. Next week on the 15th, please join us again, same time, and we will have this discussion. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time, and join me in thanking Mr. Isaias Halu, CEO of ASKY Airlines, and Mr. Chris Appiah, Director Transport at the ECOWAS Commission, for availing themselves and taking us through these very exciting discussions today. Until we meet again, it's bye-bye from me. Enjoy the rest of the day, and goodbye. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.